If your paycheck disappears before the month ends, a bigger salary may only make it disappear faster. Imagine a hotel housekeeper named Lena. After 2 years of scraping by, she finally got a raise. 3 weeks later, her mother's prescription was waiting at the pharmacy, and Lena's card was declined. What changed her life after that took 5 minutes on payday and started with $20. The strange part is that the raise had felt like an answer. Lena was 27 and cleaned hotel rooms 6 days a week. She stripped beds, scrubbed bathrooms, replaced towels, and pushed a cart that became harder to move as the afternoon wore on. On a busy day, she finished 16 rooms. On a bad day, a supervisor asked why 15 had taken so long. She earned enough to rent a room in a small apartment she shared with another woman. She could buy groceries, keep her phone connected, and send a little money to her mother when nothing unexpected happened. Something unexpected always happened. A bus pass expired. A shoe split at the sole. The electricity bill came in higher than expected. One small surprise could erase the few dollars left in her account. So Lena learned to live in short stretches. Monday to payday. Payday to rent. Rent to the next payday. She checked her balance before buying toothpaste. She knew which grocery store marked bread down at 7 in the evening. She kept an old coat because the zipper still worked if she pulled it at the right angle. Then payday arrived, and for one evening, all that caution disappeared. The number in her account looked larger than the life she had been living. Lena bought the shampoo she had put back the week before. She ordered dinner instead of cooking. If a coworker said, "You work too hard, come out with us," she went. She was tired of every decision reminding her that she earned less than everyone around her. By the next morning, the pressure returned. Lena would promise herself that the next paycheck would be different. Then the next paycheck arrived, carrying 2 weeks of delayed wants, and the same pattern started again. She believed the pattern had one cause: low pay. For a long time, that explanation seemed fair. Her income really was small. No clever budget could make her rent cheaper or add hours to her shift. When people told her to stop buying coffee, she wanted to ask which house they thought a few cups of coffee would buy. Then her manager called her into the office. Guest reviews had mentioned her rooms by number. She rarely missed a shift. The hotel was short-staffed, and they wanted her to stay. She was getting a raise of $1.25 an hour. Lena did the calculation twice on the walk home. An extra $50 in a 40-hour week, around $200 in a full month before taxes. In her mind, that money had already repaired everything. She would save. She would help her mother. She would finally stop counting the days. But the first larger paycheck felt even more like permission. Her phone had a cracked corner, so she replaced it on a monthly payment plan. The payment looked small. She bought 2 new work shirts because she was tired of washing the same ones at night. She covered dinner for a friend who had helped her months earlier. None of those choices felt reckless by itself. Together, they quietly claimed the entire raise. Then they claimed a little more. 3 weeks later, Lena's mother called while Lena was folding towels in the hotel laundry room. Her mother had left a routine appointment with a new prescription. It was not a dramatic emergency. It was simply medicine she needed, and the pharmacy wanted $48. "Don't worry," Lena said. "I'll pay for it after work." She sounded certain, because daughters sometimes want their voices to protect their mothers before their money can. At the pharmacy, Lena tapped her card. Declined. She tried again. Declined. There were people waiting behind her. The pharmacist moved the small white bag to the side and asked whether Lena wanted to call her bank. Her balance was $11.63. The higher salary had arrived. The safety had not. Lena stepped outside and called her coworker, Nia, who sent her the money. Her mother got the prescription that evening. The immediate problem was solved. But Lena could not forget the white pharmacy bag sitting behind the counter while strangers waited for her card to work. The following payday, she sat at the kitchen table before opening a single shopping app. She placed her phone face down and took a sheet of paper. At the top, she wrote the amount she had just been paid. Under it, she listed every expense due before the next paycheck: her share of rent, bus fare, groceries, phone, electricity, and the money she owed Nia. She subtracted those numbers. Then she saw the mistake she had been repeating. Lena had always treated the balance in her account as money available to spend. Most of it already belonged to the next 13 days. That afternoon, she created a new order for payday. First, she covered what had to happen before the next check. Second, she moved $20 into a separate savings account before she could negotiate with herself. Third, she divided what remained by the number of days until payday. The final number was small, but it was honest. Lena called the savings account breathing room. $20 could not rescue her from every problem. It could not replace a month of income, but it was the first part of a paycheck she had asked to remain after payday. Her first test came 4 days later. 2 coworkers were ordering food after a late shift. Lena was hungry, tired, and one tap away from joining them. She opened her banking app and saw the $20 in breathing room. For a moment, she wanted to use it. Then she remembered that white bag behind the pharmacy counter. She went home and cooked rice and eggs. The dinner was plain. The feeling was new. For once, saying no did not feel like punishment. It felt like keeping a promise to the version of herself who would need help later. Over the next 2 months, Lena added one rule. Anything she wanted but had not planned for had to wait 24 hours. Some purchases survived the wait. Most did not. She still met friends. She still bought things she enjoyed. She simply stopped asking the first day after payday to pay for every desire she had postponed during the previous 2 weeks. Her savings reached $140. Then the bus she took to work changed its route. To reach the hotel on time, Lena had to use a second bus for 3 weeks while roadwork blocked the usual line. The extra fares consumed most of the money she had saved. She stared at the lower balance and felt defeated. 2 months of effort, almost gone. Then she noticed what had not happened. She had not borrowed from Nia. She had not missed a shift. She had not paid an overdraft fee. The savings had disappeared because they had done their job. That changed how Lena measured progress. Before, she thought savings counted only if the number kept rising. Now she understood that money could protect a week even when it failed to impress anyone on a screen. She began again with $20. This time, Lena also looked for a way to make her income less fragile. Cutting expenses had created breathing room, but there was a limit to how much she could cut from a life that was already small. At the hotel, she noticed that new housekeepers often struggled with the same 3 things: moving quickly without missing details, preparing the cart before a shift, and handling inspection notes without repeating mistakes. Lena was already good at those things. So when the hotel needed someone to train 2 new employees, she volunteered. The first time, the work came with no extra pay. That frustrated her. But instead of silently adding more work forever, Lena wrote down what she had done. She tracked the rooms inspected, the errors corrected, and the days the new employees reached the expected room count. 3 months later, another training request came. Lena brought the record to her manager. "I can do this again," she said, "but I want to be considered for the next team lead opening. I've already been doing part of that job." The manager did not promote her that day. That matters. Real life did not reward one brave conversation with a new title by Friday. But now the manager knew what Lena wanted, and Lena had proof instead of a vague promise that she worked hard. She kept building 2 kinds of breathing room. One was money. The other was choice. After 6 months, her cash buffer covered 2 full weeks of basic expenses. She also completed a short workplace safety course offered free through a local employment center. It was not glamorous, and it did not turn her into an entrepreneur overnight. It qualified her for more roles at the hotel and at other properties nearby. Then came the second raise. A team lead on the morning shift left. Lena applied, showed the record she had kept, and got the position. Her hourly pay increased again. This was the moment that tested whether anything had truly changed. The old Lena would have looked at the larger check and expanded her life before the money had time to settle. The new Lena made one decision before payday arrived. Half of the increase would build her emergency fund. A quarter would help with goals she had delayed, including replacing the coat with the broken zipper. The last quarter could make daily life easier. She gave the raise instructions before it could become a feeling. A year after the pharmacy incident, Lena was still sharing the same apartment. She still took the bus. She still checked grocery prices. From the outside, the transformation was easy to miss. Inside her bank account, she had enough to cover 1 month of basic expenses. Inside her work life, she had a stronger title, a documented skill, and options at several nearby hotels. Then her mother called again. This time, a dental infection needed treatment. The bill was larger than $48. Lena felt the old fear rise in her chest. She opened the banking app, moved the money, and scheduled the appointment. No declined card, no embarrassed call to a friend, no waiting for payday while the problem became worse. Her account balance fell sharply that afternoon. Lena did not feel rich. She felt steady. That is the part stories about low salaries often skip. A plan cannot make an inadequate paycheck adequate. If rent, food, transport, and medicine consume every dollar, the answer has to include higher income, better work, public support, lower costs, or some combination of them. Shame does not solve arithmetic. But when even a small amount is available, its order matters. Lena's first raise vanished because every dollar entered her life without a job. Her second raise stayed because she had decided where it would go before it arrived. The $20 transfer did more than grow a savings account. It interrupted the belief that saving began someday, after she earned enough. Tracking her training did more than help her win a promotion. It turned "I work hard" into evidence another employer could understand. One action protected the next week. The other made the next year less dependent on the same paycheck. If your salary is low, start with the next pay cycle, not a fantasy version of your life. Write down what must be paid before the following check. Move a small amount out of reach first, even if the number feels almost too small to matter. Divide what remains by the days it has to cover. Give unplanned wants one night before they become purchases. Then ask a second question. What can you document, learn, request, or apply for that gives you a better income option 6 months from now? You may not be able to save your way out of low pay. You can build enough breathing room to stop every surprise from becoming debt, and enough skill to make your current salary one option instead of your only option. Lena never became wealthy in this story. She gained something that had once felt just as distant. When the next problem arrived, payday was no longer coming to rescue her. She had already rescued part of the paycheck.